Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, we're going to talk about Disney dropping their mask mandates for being outdoors at Walt Disney World. We're going to talk about raised capacity limits, and we're going to talk about the Disney Wish and how those bookings are going. All that coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. Welcome, folks. Coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined this week by my good friends from Dreams Unlimited Travel, Ms. Elaine Edwards. Oh, no sound on her.
I don't think sound on her. She mute herself?
Hi, friends. I'm
There
back.
she
Sorry.
is.
That was
There
my
she
fault.
is. That's
Try
why we
again.
like them to
Hello.
say hello, because this is the way we can check and make sure the sound is working. Senior editor for The Diz, Ms. Jackie Gailey.
Hi, everybody.
And producer and all-around large-headed nice man, Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And, of course, my producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Oh, hoy hoy.
Here in the studio with me. So, we have so much to talk about. Before we get into that, just a reminder, this show and all of the content that we produce on our YouTube channels and on our sites is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. And if you like what we do, if you like our content, if you like our people, this is a great way to show your support. Please book your next Walt Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, or Universal vacation through dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, because that's how we pay for this. I'm one of the owners of Dreams, in case you didn't know, along with John Magi and Donna LeFever. So your support means the world. You guys are the reason we have been able to survive this pandemic, and I can't thank you enough. But speaking of pandemics, I went out live while the Disney earnings call was going on. Was that, Jackie, was that what, last Thursday?
It was.
It was
Yeah.
last Thursday. Yeah, because
Yep.
the days all run together for me.
I know.
And, I found it interesting that, that was the day the CDC said fully vaccinated people can stop wearing masks outdoors and you can, ease social distancing. That in and of itself was stunning. That it worked its way into the earnings call with Bob Chapek that day. I was like, okay, they're getting ready, but I was thinking, by summer, right? Which is like a month away. I had no idea the next day they were going to announce that as of Saturday, I believe it was the 15th. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to wear masks outdoors at Walt Disney World. And of course, this is on the honor system. They're not checking for like vaccine cards on the way in, because that is not allowed in Florida. But I am so excited. I haven't been back over there yet since that happened. Has anybody been in the parks?
Yes.
Since Craig, Rhino? How was it? How did it feel?
It was a little weird. It was weird because I was in the park on Friday, sitting with some listeners, and then we were literally talking about it. We were saying oh, it'll be crazy. It'll be interesting to see when that stuff starts happening in the park and what they'll do. And so it was literally walking out of the park, got home, saw the announcement because I had recorded the news video and I had to re-record it because I saw the story after I'd already done it. So it was 11:45 and I'm there are cast members who are already home and asleep in their bed probably when they said this, or at least were home and left for the day. So the thing that kind of took me by surprise was I can't believe they're not training anybody to be how do we address this situation? Okay, so if I'm an attraction cast member, where does the attraction begin? Is this the first step here? Because you are still supposed to wear your mask from the beginning of the experience all the way through the end of the attraction. and in like more crowded areas and things like that. And I can't imagine the stress of being a cast member, having to be like, I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. But at Animal Kingdom, when I was first walking in, it was probably like half people still had masks on, and then as I was leaving Animal Kingdom, right like where the Tree of Life, where that intersection is at Discovery Island, it was like nobody had a mask on. I was the only one that had a mask on, and then at Hollywood Studios, it was very few people because that's where I went next. But it's kind of one of those, like we've said it all along, like follow the CDC, follow the whatever, and it's a weird.
Yeah. I
think there's just a shock, right? Because it happened so abruptly.
But that was always, at least for me, my position was, follow CDC guidance, and that's what Disney's been doing, and that's what they are doing. So I don't have a problem with it, because here's the thing. They can relax their restrictions and stuff like that. If I choose to wear my mask, I'm free to do that. If I feel uncomfortable, if it's a personal thing, and that's what I want to do, I'm free to do it. That's what I like about it. That, I don't have to, but if I choose to, I can. And I realize, the CDC is getting some slack for the way they rolled it out, because the rollout of that announcement was a little awkward. But, it's just a reminder to everybody, this is outdoors, not indoors. Indoors, you have to wear a mask. And a reminder again, because apparently it has to be said like 7,800 times, Disney World is private property. They are allowed by law to enforce whatever rules they choose. And you don't have to go there if you don't like it, which is what we've been saying about the masks. They were like, I don't want to wear a mask at Disney World. Okay, then don't go. Now you can go. But you go indoors, you're still going to have to wear masks. So you got to have it with you. You got to use it. And I'm just really excited. The thought of this summer, another summer, of walking around the parks with the alien on your face. I was not excited about the thought of that. Very excited about this. Very, very excited about this. Very glad that they're doing it. Of course, he also announced in that earnings call that they were raising capacity. Now, they have not stated. Has anybody heard what capacity has been raised to?
I haven't heard what it's going to next. And on top of that, too, I'm still struggling to find out where this capacity is gone to. I know some of it went to hotel guests, but it definitely has not gone anywhere for annual pass holders, because it is just as difficult, if not more difficult, right now to get park reservations for annual pass holders. So maybe the hotel guests.
I can just tell you that the day before the earnings call, I was trying to get something in early June and as an annual pass holder, and it was completely unavailable. After the earnings call, I was able to get stuff. So it may have just, I don't know what they've raised capacity to. My guess, they were at 35. They're probably going to 50. And I think before summer, we're going to see it go up to 75, depending on how things go. They need their capacity back as close to full, close to 100%, before October 1st and the start of the anniversary, the 50th anniversary. They are looking, they were always looking to the 50th anniversary to be a big event. But now it's like it's going to be an event to try and recoup some of this lost money. So that's the game. I think we are, barring any knock wood, barring any new problems, I think we'll see a normal capacity return to Walt Disney World by October 1st. Does anybody think I'm crazy?
Well, the really interesting thing that I noticed is the day after the earnings call, we saw park passes open up, even so much that the next day hotel guests could get park passes even for Hollywood Studios. But I was watching specifically on October 1st, and it didn't reopen. because I know that I have guests that are booked and want to get park passes for Magic Kingdom for October 1st or for Epcot on October 1st for the opening of Ratatouille. Neither one of them opened up when May, June, July opened up. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if they're still holding those back.
Yeah.
If they're
I'm
going to
certain
try
that
to
they,
do something
they're
special
not,
or what.
they are not going. And again, I feel, generally speaking, they're being responsible. They're not going to open up October 1st yet. They've got to see what happens. Now, I'll tell you what, a month from now, with, relaxing the mask mandates, relaxing some of the social distancing guidelines, increasing capacity, if that all goes well, right? There's no big problems. There's no big issues. If that all goes well, then I think you're going to see them start feeling more comfortable about opening up more in the fall. But, it's all speculation, right? All speculation. What is not speculation, however, is how much money it's going to cost you to sail on the Wish. Because starting, was it yesterday, Elaine?
Yes, yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning, that's right, Monday. Those of us with 25 or more cruises under our belt were able to book the maiden voyage. And thanks to this magic woman, this amazing woman, Elaine Edwards, I was able to get a concierge room on the maiden voyage. It comes with a mortgage application, but and here's the thing. Everybody, because they did an early release of some of the pricing, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is expensive," and it is. I looked at the price Elaine sent me for, it's a Category 4. It's a family concierge room, so it's basically a slightly larger veranda room with a balcony, and it was $13,000 for a 5-night cruise. I'm like, wow. That's expensive. Here's my credit card. And that's why these prices are what they are, because they know us. And apparently I'm not alone. Everybody was talking about the prices and doing here's my credit card, because concierge on that ship filled yesterday. For the maiden voyage, it filled yesterday. And by the time general booking opens next week, there'll be nothing available on the maiden voyage. Nothing. So what are you seeing, Elaine? Let me talk to you now about it, because you've been the one booking it. What's your experience and what have you seen?
So I got through on the phone. It was actually about 12 minutes after phone lines opened up yesterday, and concierge was almost all the way sold out. So when I was working on getting Pete's room, we would grab a stateroom and then it would disappear, and then we would grab another one and it would disappear. So it was going, and probably by the time I got off my phone call, it was gone. All of concierge was sold out right away yesterday morning. As far as the rest of the categories, yesterday and now into today, all categories except for concierge, there is very limited availability. There's hardly any inside staterooms left. Navigator verandas are in guarantee status already, so they are disappearing very fast. There's still some left right now, but I very highly doubt that we will make it through the end of this week. So I am starting to talk to my gold and silver and DVC guests that were hoping for the maiden voyage, saying let's start looking at some backup dates now. So.
And speaking of DVC, of course, the second sailing on the Wish is a DVC cruise. We are not calling it a member cruise anymore, because a member cruise is they do a whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of entertainment and stuff like that done on member cruises. And DVC has gone out of their way to say this is not a member cruise, but you can use points and things like that. And if I'm not mistaken, Elaine, that sailing is completely sold out.
Yes, it was gone within a few hours. We were watching that very closely. I have even though I am not DVC, I have several friends that are DVC members, and we were all kind of watching it really closely to see what was going to happen. Because the points, it was some expensive points to be able to book that you were required to use direct points, not resale points,
That's
but
correct.
direct points for at least one person. And it was very expensive if you actually do the math, but man, it sold out within just a few hours.
Yeah, again, this is going to be the name of this ship should not be the Wish. The name of this ship should be Here, Take My Credit Card. That should be the name of this ship. I think we should rename it to that.
I feel like a lot of DVC members probably had a lot of points too, building up from not being able to travel.
And you know, and this is, and I don't want to get too deep in the DVC hole. You can check out, if you're interested in Disney Vacation Club, learning more about it. YouTube.com/DVCFan is our DVC website. DVCFan.com is our information website. And there's a lot of discussions about this. We also have a Facebook group, DVC Fan. See a connection. But a lot of discussion about the member cruise. So the first two cruises, by the time general booking opens, you know, you're not going on the first two cruises. Now, that's we're talking about the maiden voyage, right? We're talking about that first sailing on the Wish. But it's not like all sailings on the Wish are booked up. It's not all sold out. So when general opens, you will still be able to get, you know, good deals on, you know, because remember, Disney Cruise Line tiered pricing. So you know, day of opening, as soon as it opens up for bookings, that's the lowest the price is going to be. As the ship fills up, as categories fill up, the price goes up. So there are still sailings out there that have not, you know, been filled into. Everybody wanted the maiden, but there will still be availability, and there will still be some good deals to be had, relatively speaking, on other dates on the Wish. So I don't want people to feel, you know, like, oh well, I'm not going on the Wish until, you know, 2240. But you know what? Let's talk about pricing that you were seeing, Elaine, generally speaking, at the beginning, and where it kind of went.
So I had people on the maiden, which we kind of talked about a little bit, and then I had several people that were looking at September. If you want a good deal for the Wish, it's going to be in September. And I couldn't believe it looking at the pricing, which, as we talked about, they've already kind of released introductory rates on the DCL website, that September is actually one of the cheapest months of the year to cruise. One, travel in general is low in September, but two, it is in the middle of hurricane season, so there's a little bit of give and take riskways there. But even I had guests in concierge in September on 4-night cruises for $3,000 and $4,000, and I mean, it's
Wait,
great.
what?
Concierge in September on the Wish for $3,000 and $4,000
Per person?
No, for two adults.
Hold on. Clutch pearls. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I
And
may have to book another sailing. I'm just saying. I may have to get out in front of this and book another sailing.
Yeah. And then we couldn't get it for the maiden voyage, because once a category sells out, we can't see pricing anymore. But I did actually ask about the funnel suite in September. That is $13,000 for two people. So.
But when you think about, that's not bad for that. I mean, the funnel suite, for God's sakes. If you haven't seen this thing, we'll try and get a link up to show you some of the pictures. This is the 2-story suite. It's in one of the funnels on the ship. Oh, he was ready with it. He's such a good producer. He's such a good producer. Look at this thing. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's a 2-story suite. Sleeps how many people, Elaine?
So it actually sleeps 8 people, And I have already done some math on myself and 5 friends that, would come out to about $3,500 a person for a 4-night cruise. And I'm currently attempting to convince them to book it with me so that we could all go in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to book another. Yeah. What else am I gonna do? I got nothing else. I got no place else to go, right? I might as well start planning next year's cruises. Now,
the
Jackie,
crazy
when are
part
you
about-
eligible to book?
So I'm silver.
Oh,
I know.
that's so not magical.
It's not magical at all. Because right when I found out about how, I was scared to death, actually, when I went on my first cruise. I had to have a lot of hand-holding because I was afraid. And once I got on that ship, and I have wanted to do nothing else but go on another one.
Is
So-
anyone not planning to sail the Wish in the inaugural season? I love it. Silence.
Nope.
That's silent. That's
for a
music.
radio show.
What's that?
It's perfect for a radio
It is
show.
perfect for a radio show. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of us that feel that way. So, like I said, let's just start calling this the Disney Here, Take My Credit Card. I think that should be the name because, like, I was thinking about this when I was getting ready for the show. Elaine sent me the price, and she was texting me, and I'm like, wow, that's expensive. I'm like, okay. And my response, that wasn't even my response to her. My response to her was, let me know when you want my credit card. And I'm like, that's what's going to happen right now. That's what's going to happen.
I need to
right
call
now.
the bank about an increase.
And just so people understand, what's the deposit rules? I know on concierge it's 20% non-refundable.
Yes. So if you want to sail on maiden voyage, everyone for every cruise with Disney Cruise Line, it's 20%. Concierge is always non-refundable. And for the maiden voyage, no matter what category you are booked in, it's non-refundable and the deposit must be booked that day. Normally, we can put cruises on a 3-day hold, but we cannot do that with the maiden voyage. We can only put it on that day. Deposit must be paid that day, non-refundable, that kind of thing. Any other sailing, it's just a regular 20% deposit as long as you aren't booking concierge. You can cancel or get a refund up until your final payment date.
Wow.
That makes sense. I was curious about yesterday about people not paying their deposit before midnight.
Right.
Like if, for whatever reason, like if they booked and then they didn't follow through.
And that's what I was kind of watching. I got a rundown at the end of the day yesterday, and then kind of looked at it a little bit this morning. And that's what we were kind of waiting to see, is how many of these holds are going to fall overnight. Not really, hardly anything.
Wow.
Yeah, availability just continued to close in today. So I think people that know they want to be on this first sailing, they are booking it, they are paying their deposit.
Yeah. No, I wasn't going to mess around with that. I mean, we got on the phone, like right as you were booking it. We were on the phone. Because I was absolutely not going to mess around with that. But you know what? Again, I go back to what I said a few weeks ago when we got the information about when booking was going to open and more information on the Wish. It's just something to look forward to. It's something to look forward to. And so I'm all right. I'm all right. If I got to give a non-refundable deposit so I have something to look forward to, okay, here you go. Here's my credit card. Elaine, how would you compare the opening of bookings? Obviously, this is special because it's the first sailings of a brand new ship. But when you compare it to, other opening day booking windows for different itineraries, what did you notice? How did it compare to, like, let's say when they opened up 2022 sailings a few months ago?
So, we see all of the requests come in at Dreams Unlimited Travel, and I will tell you, as soon as these opened up, we got completely inundated with requests, and it continues every single day. People are very excited about it, and I will, with any cruise release, we do our quotes. We put a no obligation hold, and then you can make the decision if you actually want to pay your deposit and move forward or not. And we have some people that book and some people that choose not to book, but every single person that I put a hold on yesterday has already paid their deposit. Whether it was for the maiden voyage or for future voyages, they're ready to go. So people are booking, that is for sure, for all of the sailings.
Nice.
I am so incredibly excited. Okay, so, all right, we're running a little early here. So I want to talk about a few other things. I want to talk about this article. Let me just get it up here that we published on the Diz this week. I believe we published it actually last week. By Jeff Baker, one of our contributors, talking about 3 Walt Disney World attractions that used to be much better. And I loved this article. I really did. I enjoyed reading it. First of all, he did a great job writing it, right? So Jeff, but I want to talk about the three that he focused on. And I want to have a discussion and see if we would add to this list. Number 1, Test Track in Epcot. He talks about having been there during the grand opening. And then, you are so good, Craig. You are so good that you had all this ready to go. I'm telling you. I told him I may go to this, I may not, I don't know. I just want to see how the discussion goes. But he talks about Test Track and Epcot being there for the grand opening, and then, of course, they made changes to it. Does anybody remember Test Track before the last rehab?
Yes.
Yes.
It was so much better.
Yes.
So much better.
Why do you think that?
I felt like it matched with what Test Track was all about. It was fun to look at all the things in the queue. And I mean, there was just so much there, and it fit with what you did on the ride. The crash test dummies it was just such a cohesive attraction from the time you walked in until you were done. And now I just don't feel like it's anything special, really.
I agree with exactly what Jackie is saying. It used to be that you were put in like real life scenarios, and now it's just this computer generated testing. And I remember when Test Track opened, and I remember because I was there with my parents, and we went up there, and my dad said, okay, we're going to come back in 2 hours. And I threw a fit about why can't we just go now? And it's because FastPass had just come out. And he's like, no, we come back in 2 hours and then we get right on the ride. And I'm like, why can't we ride now? And I remember being so upset because he had fast passes and I didn't know what it was. But I like the first inception of this ride a lot better.
And just for reference, Elaine was 32 years old when that happened. Why can't I ride now? All right, number 2, and I agree, by the way, I agree with him on that. The Test Track was definitely better. Craig, do you agree?
I don't remember the old one.
Oh, that's right. You were in utero.
I'm joking. I worked there.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was my location at Disney.
But that far back?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, because that opened in '99 and then it closed for refurb around 2011. Because I
was
remember.
Was it that late? I thought it was earlier than that.
2010 that it. Well, no, because I worked there in 2010, and then the first media event I covered with you was the new Fantasyland / Test Track / Splitsville media event, and
that was like
so
2013
that was
or
November
2012.
Yeah, it was November 2012, right in there. So no, I love old Test Track. I hate the new one, but I blame it because I worked there. So like I hidden my name all over the attraction in different places, and then they just went and threw a bunch of black paint and curtains up over the walls and added some neon and called it a day.
Yeah. Rhina, you feel that way? Did you remember it from before?
I like vaguely remember it. I mean, what year? When did they remodel it again? Like Craig just said, it was
Well, like I said,
2013, right?
we covered the
2014?
media event for it was in 2012. Was the end of 2012. We have a video somewhere too of that. Really good video we did, but it was the end of 2012.
I remember when it was reopening and people being like, "Oh, they went with," because Tron Legacy came out in 2012, I believe, as well, and they were like, "Oh, so they're leaning into Tron Legacy's aesthetic, but not really giving Tron Tron the actual." It felt like they had like tiptoed into something that they didn't want to commit to.
It was
So I
Tron
know that was
adjacent. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. It was Braun. It was BRON. They want to. So I'm going to be honest with you. Whether it's the way it is now or whether it was the way it was before, I don't actually like the attraction very much because for me, I just hate. I get why it fit in and what it was about, the education of the cars and everything, but I just hate stop and go. Like I live here, I drive on I-4. I know exactly what that's like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I
don't
want
need it in a
Test
theme
Track, I'll
park.
drive on I-4. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to remember what it felt like to be able to drive the speed limit. So give me a ride that can do that, and I'm all in.
All right, number 2 on his list, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. They made a lot of changes. They made a number of changes over the years to this because this has been around since the late 90s, I believe, or the mid 90s, right?
1994.
Okay, that's what I thought.
95, somewhere in there.
Because I remember like when I first came to Disney World in like '92, there were signs up at what was then Disney MGM Studios about the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and I was thinking they were building another hotel. I didn't realize this was going to be an attraction. I still think the Hollywood Tower Hotel would be an amazing hotel idea for them. I mean, not with people disappearing and, death, but,
Right.
Just the whole aesthetic. And I realize that they, there are big changes to it here. Obviously, Disneyland's another story. But their big changes to it here was to intensify the drop sequence and randomize the drop sequence so that, you're not necessarily getting the same experience at the end that, every time. And I think, like, for me, I could, like, the original I could handle. And then there are some of these drop sequences I've done on this since they made the change where I'm like, okay, stop it. Enough already. How many more times are we going to go up and down? Jeez. It's like you want to make sure I hurl. I definitely prefer it the way it was, but I might be alone on that, so I'll open it up to the others.
See, I never went on it before it started, before they had seatbelts on it. So I've only been on it once, and I was forced and dragged on it by 2 friends that I love, and I laughed the entire time. But it was after, oh my God, I loved it so much. Oh my gosh, I want to go again now. But it had
All right,
already...
Jackie, your next time in town, I'm not kidding. Next time you're in town, you and I will go on together.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun.
I'm just not going to eat before. That's all.
No, I can't eat before.
And please record Jackie's reaction, laughing and giggling the whole time. Please record that.
I couldn't even stop laughing the whole time. I don't know why. I love drop rides. I remember being taken to Great Adventure as a kid up in New Jersey, and we did the thing that goes out and you just drop straight down. And oh my goodness.
Well, Great Adventure's idea of an attraction. I used to go to Great Adventure as a kid all the time. Great Adventure's idea of an attraction is to like just throw you up against a wall and then next, please. So, I mean, look, Great Adventure is a nice park. As a kid, I absolutely loved it. Was there? I had an annual pass. Me and my friends would go every weekend, or during the summer. We were there during the week. So I spent a lot of time at Great Adventure. I have nothing bad to say about it. But then I found Disney World, and I was like, look at Great Adventure and go, oh.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I barely even remember it anymore, but oh my gosh, yeah. It just reminded me of that because you just draw, and the sequences were fun. So I can't really speak to the before part of it, but I can't imagine people that went on it without a seatbelt and you just kind of raise up in your seat. Oh my goodness.
It was kind of cool.
That's really,
but it really added to the thrill because, you know, for a second, you know, when you're, you know, floating in air on Earth, you're like, will I die?
right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't, but for a brief second, you're like, this might be it. So that was nice because I'm damaged, right? I might die. That was nice. That'll be the name of that ride now. I might die. That was nice. Third, what about Rhino? Let me get to you on that.
Well, I was just gonna say I still remember very distinctly the first time I ever went on this attraction, and like it was like I had moved here, I just became a cast member, and my friend was a cast member, and he's like, okay, we're going on this ride, and I'm like, oh, I hate drop rides, I don't want to do this, I can't even do those log rides at like Canopy Lake Park or wherever, and so I'm like, I agreed in a moment of stupidity, and I went on, and I remember biting his arm. Like the picture, you could see like my teeth in his arm, like because I was just like, that was the moment where I realized I've always known I was afraid of heights, but now I've realized it's actually I'm afraid of falling. So I was just like, this is a nightmare. But I'm with you, Pete, in essence, where I'm like, but I love Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. That's probably my favorite ride. So like, I think theming does a lot for me. With Tower of Terror, I want to live in that theming. I don't want to just like go into this place where I feel like I'm going to crap myself or something like that. I want to be able to like, I want to sit in. I keep saying a dream of mine is to someday be on that patio that's like above where where you come out of the gift shop and there's like that awning that's kind of over it, or I don't know what it's called, but I was like, I would love to have like a really fancy cocktail party up there with like hors d'oeuvres or something like that. What if the next makeover we just push back and like you just said, we make the rest of it a real hotel, so it's not just this drop ride. Like it is not my favorite ride. I love the theming, but I just do not like going in it one way or another.
So Rhino wants to live in Tower of Terror, so we now call him Morticia Adams.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a dream.
That's his. Those are his life goals. Is Morticia Adams. All right.
I love it. I mean, I love it the way that it is now. I don't remember it without seatbelts specifically, but when I'm there and I ride Tower of Terror, we usually do it like 5 or 6 times in a row. So we hit all of those sequences, which makes it different every time. And some of them, you might get a really, really, really intense one, and the next you might kind of get a dull one. You're like, oh, well, we need to do it again because we got to get a better one. And so I love it. I love the different sequences. I love that it's intense. And that's we do it like 6 times in a row.
I don't remember when we did this, but the first party we ever did, and it was a while ago, where we rented out an attraction. It was that. We rented out Tower of Terror. And everybody could ride it like 8,000 times. And when it's, just your group, we had a couple hundred people, just your group, and you've got that attraction, and you could go over and over and over again. I don't care how cast iron your stomach is, because we also had like hors d'oeuvres and desserts and all this other stuff. And I even think we had a dessert. I think we did do a dessert party for the nighttime show at Hollywood Studios. I'm drawing a blank.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty sure that's what we did. And the number of people yakking all over that ride would blow your minds. So that was memorable. But number 3 on his list, and this I agree with 185%, Soaring Around the World at Epcot. That change sucks. First of all, I had no idea that the Eiffel Tower had a 20-degree curve. Doesn't matter what seat you're in on that ride because of the way it was filmed. The Eiffel Tower looks like it's got a curve, which of course it doesn't. And I understand them wanting to update the ride, but again, these guys are classics. Soaring's a classic. Twilight Zone or Tower of Terror is a classic. Okay, Test Track, maybe we're overselling it by calling it a classic. But this is what happens when you mess with something that was already good. You run the risk of making it bad, which is the point of this article. We'll make sure we have a link to this article in the show notes. But I love the original Soarin'. I wish they would bring it back. I hate this version. I'll still do it because I love the ride. I love the attraction. And I also have, my mother and I are both terrified of heights, but this is a ride we like to go on together and attract. So this is one of the things whenever we're in Epcot, Mom and I go on Soarin'. And, so I'll always have a special place in my heart. That and Small World. I've told the story before. My mother was pregnant with me in 1964 at the New York World's Fair riding Small World. So we now understand where all this came from. So Mom and I always try and ride Small World together. But,
I love that she'll ride Soarin'. Wow.
Oh, no, she will. She will.
I love it.
She clutches into my hands. She's holding on for dear life. But no, we love that. And of course, for the Dreams 20th, that was one of the attractions we had rented out when we had, Epcot to ourselves that night. One of the most amazing nights. We had Soarin' to ourselves, Test Track to ourselves. Jody Benson did a concert for us. And then we had a private showing of Illuminations, which I just sat there and bawled. I just, oh my God, this is amazing. And a very memorable night. Very, very memorable night. But so Soarin', anybody disagree with that? Anybody like the new version versus the old? Yeah,
No.
That's unanimous,
No.
right, Craig?
Yeah, no, it's a garbage ride.
Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah.
God bless him. It's a garbage ride.
Could it be something to do with the shape of the screen in combination with the way it was filmed?
Well, I would hope, since that was filmed after the attraction was created, that maybe
Yeah.
they would have taken that into account.
I mean, that's what I can't. They work so hard. Like, usually they think of everything. So I just can't believe it.
Yeah,
that
I
it's
would love to
still
know
working.
one day. I would love to know one day. Because obviously it didn't get past them. They must have watched it and realized, oh, we kind of screwed up on that.
Yeah.
But why they didn't do something different? Okay, I get you want to do the Eiffel Tower, but maybe not a tower on a ride like that that's going to look... Because I can't
something
not see
happened
that.
there.
I can't unsee it.
Right.
I don't understand how the previous version of the ride was fine, but now the new one, updated, better technology, is so much worse. Like, we couldn't have figured this out?
I don't understand. I mean,
Yeah.
even they must have a video editor that could get rid of that little section,
Well, I'm
right?
sure. I don't know that that's possible. I don't know that filming something like that in that style with that technology where that could be done. Just don't film the Eiffel Tower then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a solution. There are things in the world other than the Eiffel Tower that could be filmed that wouldn't have people talking, how many years later since the change, going, yeah, that kind of sucks.
I think that was like what you said, Pete. That's ultimately the problem, is that for those who might not know, I think that screen is like curved inwards, and so the problem is in the original video it would have happened whether it was a computer generated Eiffel Tower or a real Eiffel Tower. That doesn't change how an object curves, like where you're sitting when it's being projected. So like, you got to think the original didn't have anything that was just this straight line in it that you moved around at an angle, like. So that's why that warping that happens, you don't notice that, and so. But that's what you'd think that while they were making this ride, they would have projected it in some simulation or something like that, and somebody would have been like, "Whoops!" Like, I wonder if they even did that. It felt like there was no quality control, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a chance that they did and they noticed it, but if you're more or less only looking at it from the right angle, then it's not as bad. Or like, I grew up going to the Science Center in Pittsburgh, and we had an OmniMax dome screen that we would watch movies on, and that was it's the same effect, essentially. And so if you're kind of used to it, then you get it a little bit more. That's not saying it's okay. It's still terrible quality control, but I can see why they might have just said, you know what, it's fine. But, when half the ride's CG anyways, and you've got fake elephants running around in a savannah, like, make some edits, change some things around.
And also in this article, he closes it out with something I thought was something we all feel. So what does the future hold for Walt Disney World attraction refurbishments? Seems like we'll be getting a lot of updates centered around popular movie franchises, and that may not be a bad thing. Although as a fan, I just ask that the Imagineers stay true to the charm of the original attraction, and do not leave us talking about just how good they used to be. I think I could not agree more. I could not agree more. And I'm always concerned when they're going to make changes to classic attractions. I try and leave a very open mind with it, because I am a person that doesn't let go of anything that doesn't have claw marks all over it. So I openly admit that I'm not always the best with change, but I try to be mindful of it, and I try to be open to it, and then I criticize. But I'm hoping, because we are going to see a lot of. I mean, we're seeing Splash Mountain certainly undergo a major overhaul. See a lot of things going to be changing in the future. And I just want to echo his sentiments. I hope Imagineering does that with an eye towards maintaining the charm of the original. And you can find new ways to do that. But if you're just looking to slap an overlay on something, chances are that's not going to happen. So, all right, that is going to do it, folks, for this week's episode of our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for being with us, and we will see you again next week with another episode of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great one, and remember, stay out of the damn lakes.